ключово сказав.
The floor is given to Arina Shapovalova.
Good afternoon, dear audience. My name is Arina Shapovalova. I am first-year student of IT department, specialized in system analysis. The topic of my presentation will be using social networks in education. As you may see at the desk right now. At the modern stage of society development, there is a mass introduction of information technologies in all spheres of human life, including education. Today's social network is one of the most popular services that keep attention of the majority of internet users. Nowadays, there are universal tools for communication. The possibilities of using social networks in education actively discussed in pedagogical community during last years. In this presentation, it will be shared the results of the research aimed to discover benefits and advantages and disadvantages of using social network in education. The idea, next slide please. Thank you. The idea of social networks as a social group of researchers were proposed by Emil Durkheim and Ferdinand Tönnies in the late 1890s, who thought that social groups can exist as personal and social links between individuals sharing their values and beliefs. In a century, with the development of the internet as a global system of interconnected computers, this idea has found its application in modern social networks that gives an opportunity to people chat, share their ideas, interests, news, as well as to find and make friends online. The range of the purposes of social network use is wide, from personal needs for communication to develop the personally and professionally. Indeed, over the last decade, there is a great change in the ways of people communication via the internet and social networks in particular. So the most popular social networks are Facebook at international countries level and Vkontakte at CIS countries level. Study possibilities by using social networks for education are rooted in the theory of social learning, the assumption that people learn more effectively when they interact with the peers on a topic or within a subject. Strong evidence of this is set out in the study of Richard J. Light of Harvard, who discovered that one of the strongest factors in the success of students in education is their ability to create or participate in small research groups. That's why students who were prepared in small research groups were better prepared than students who was prepared by their own. From my perspective, in social education, the focus of teachers' attention should be shifted from sharing the content of the subject in a learning activity to giving a task which needs interaction within students to create a small research groups. Analyzing the international and national experience of using social networks, we can point out some benefits, arguments in favor of it. So the first is social networks are free to use. So there is no need in buying special software for strong digital if not to open the university network. The second is easy to use. And the third is students, it's easy to be engaged in classroom work because students can do it online. If they have missed their classroom classes, they can take part in it online. The first is asynchronous work that gives the possibility of constant interaction of students and teachers through the internet. However, there are some problems in using social networking education. So it's such problems as additional support to organize and the learning process by providing continuing teacher training. It's also some factors that distract students from learning process. Undoubtedly, social networks are becoming a full-fledged educational environment, and it's necessary to examine the educational possibilities of social networks truly to overcome the problems by developing specialized applications for a social network, which can expand the opportunities for organizing and managing the learning process. This is possible by common efforts of IT specialists and educators. That's all. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm fully open to answer it.
Yes. Do you think that social networks are used in our university for education?
Thank you for your question. Yes, our university use social network for education. Our university has its own website where you can find the information which you need, and also our university use such networks, social networks as Telegram, Facebook, Contacti, where you can ask for any questions and the answers will be provided to you.
I have a question as a teacher of English. Being a student, how do you think, what materials, what kind of activities you would like us as teachers of English to be shared with you in social networks?
Thank you for your question. As a student, I would like that teachers will give us an opportunity to maybe to to watch some movies in English, and after this we can do test tasks, so it would provide our English skills, and also maybe some groups where we can interact with each other after our university.
Any questions? Thank you, Arina. The floor is given to Constantine Hambarlak.
Hello, dear audience. Can you please open my presentation? So I will, yes, thank you. The topic of my presentation is on deep neural network activation function selection. So the deep learning. Deep learning has seen a huge increase in popularity in the recent years, and it has some facts that approve that. For example, you can see a deep neural network classifying images seen here. On the left you can see leopard, and I think that anyone in the audience can recognize it with a high confidence, and so does the deep neural network. But on the right corner you can see mites, that tiny little creature that bites you in the forest and sucks your blood. And for me it was quite complex to really recognize it and understand that there is a living animal and not just a red blob. But neural network still does a great job recognizing it correctly. So the neural network, it has a very complicated structure and many hyperparameters. On this slide you can see a small neural network containing only just 6 layers for the MNIST classification task. More on that later, but still you can see it's quite complex to understand it visually. Activation functions is a key ingredient in the deep neural network, because in the network you have millions and millions of parameters, and each parameter has a neuron, and a neuron has an activation function. So you have millions of activation functions, and good choice makes your neural network train fast, or if you have chosen activation function badly, it will maybe train slowly, or it will fail to train at all. So Kolmogorov has proven that it is enough to have a single hidden neural network layer to approximate any function with an arbitrary precision. But there is a catch in the theorem. You have to have an unlimited number of neurons in that hidden layer. And for a modern day PC, it is quite complex to train a neural network with tens of millions of neurons, not to say with an infinite amount of them. So what could be the solution for this? The solution is to go deep, to have many layers of neurons, many layers in the deep neural network, but each of them will be very small. So on the screenshot in the left you can see a convolution layer with a tiny little filter. It's 5x5 filter, but you have many of them. By having many filters you can approximate much more complex functions with fewer parameters, and it will train much faster modern day PCs. Moreover, by utilizing many layers you can accelerate your training by using GPU, and then hours of training will transform in just several presentation. I have chosen a MNIST handwritten digit database. It contains 60,000 images of size 28 by 28. The sample dataset contains digits from 250 people, and you can see sample digits on the screenshots on the left. And the link is down below. It was prepared by Jan Kuhn a couple of years ago. So let's go next. The first activation function is sigmoid activation function. It has a range from 0 to 1. It has an easy interpretation of neuron saturation. But it's really hard for a computer to compute, because exponent is computationally intensive, and it shows very so it really stands for rectified linear unit. It is very fast to compute. It's just a function of maximum between 0 and x, and it's much better